Good morning, I'm Carl with the Honda Public Library. This is a map of San Antonio in the 1830s, and this is a map of San Antonio today. You might wonder, how did the city get so big? What planning decisions were made along the way? And what are all these holes and dangly bits? Let's answer these questions and more in this chapter of Monday Memories. After its incorporation, San Antonio's borders were set as a 36 square mile plot of land. The spiritual and cultural center of the city, San Fernando Cathedral, was also set as San Antonio's exact geographic center. But now that the city has expanded so far, the geographic center of the city is, by my very rough calculations, this bus stop on Woodland Avenue. Much less scenic than the cathedral. Although thankfully City Council voted that San Fernando is still the official city center. San Antonio is, by population, the 7th largest city proper in America. To run a city of this size, where different areas might have completely different needs from each other, the city is divided into 10 districts, each which elects its own council member. Council members must have lived in their district for at least 6 months before running for office. San Antonio's mayor, elected by the people of all districts, is actually just another council member who performs more ceremonial functions and serves as the face of the city. It is city council that has the power to propose annexation bills and add land to the city. Let's jump back to San Antonio's borders as they were defined in the 1940s to explore the history of this annexation. The old San Antonio boundary, the 36 square mile plot, was circled by a ring road, the military loop, named because it linked together the many bases that had been built around the city. As President Eisenhower's interstate plan came to Texas, this loop was rebuilt as Interstate Loop 410. Having a large highway circling the city began to shape its growth. The idea behind a ring road is that with all the traffic moved out to the edges, the city becomes more drivable. As someone who frequently drives on 410, I can say with confidence that this is not true. All jokes aside, the efficacy of ring roads has been debated heavily in urban planning, with some arguing that traffic-reducing effects are always temporary, and long-term they only serve to increase car use and therefore increase traffic. And what's more, by the 1970s, San Antonio had expanded out into all the space between the urban center and Loop 410, prompting the construction of a second ring road, Loop 1604, to relieve traffic. As the city grows faster than ever, even this new limit has been reached, and parts of San Antonio have sprawled way beyond 1604, mostly in the city's north. Right here, the protrusion goes way out to the northwest, contiguous with the rest of the city limit through this one stretch of road. This area is the Government Canyon State Natural Area, a preserved bit of nature that is critical for the recharge of San Antonio's water system and kept undeveloped accordingly. This area was formally annexed by the city in 2003, with some additional parcels annexed over the following years to allow for a more standardized system of controls of the area. A tiny bit of this natural area actually juts all the way west into Medina County, technically making San Antonio the largest Medina County city, with over 1 million more residents than the runner-up. Although that's cheating. But as San Antonio expanded its borders, not all land in sight was able to be incorporated. Take a look at the city limit again and you'll see a bunch of holes. One of the holes in the city limits is Lackland Air Force Base. The others are the independent cities of Alamo Heights, Balcones Heights, Castle Hills, Hill Country Village, Leon Valley, Olmos Park, Chavano Park, and Terrell Hills. These cities were once suburban settlements out in the countryside, but now lay entirely surrounded by the city limits of San Antonio. Some of these towns were proper organic settlements, like Leon Valley, which was historically a stagecoach stop between San Antonio and Bandera. Others were planned communities designed to cater to the city's wealthy elite, like the posh Olmos Park, which was built on land purchased from an Austrian count. But all of these cities had a common goal: avoiding increased tax rates. In 1952, when residents of Leon Valley learned that San Antonio City Council was proposing annexation of their community, they immediately filed a petition to the county to become an incorporated community. Residents did not want their tax rates to go up to pay for services that they weren't even going to be able to receive. This was a huge problem for a lot of the 20th century. It wasn't until 1999 that the law required Texas cities to provide services to communities as soon as they were annexed, rather than over time. The current strategy of cities to expand their borders is limited purpose annexation, which signals the intent to annex without requiring the immediate delivery of services. In the meantime, the residents aren't taxed, but they are able to vote in certain elections. But of course, services or no services, there will be higher tax rates. This is why a place like Alamo Ranch, despite being directly adjacent to San Antonio and the fastest growing area in all of Bexar County, has tried its hardest to resist annexation attempts. Residents there, if annexed, would see a 20 to 25% increase in property tax rates. Plans to incorporate as the city of Alamo Ranch have floated around, but for now it remains an unincorporated community directly taxed by the county. This is a little bit of a tangent, but this is why what most people consider Las Vegas isn't actually in the city limits of Las Vegas. Casinos would lose out on their revenue if they had to pay both city and county taxes, so they convinced the county to prevent Las Vegas from annexing the Strip. In 2017, Governor Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 6 into law, which gave inhabitants of areas under consideration a right to vote on whether to be annexed. Opponents of the bill say that a longer annexation process will slow San Antonio's economic growth and lead to city resources and infrastructure being used by people who aren't paying taxes on them. Proponents of the bill side with Abbott in calling the old annexation policy a form of taxation without representation, siding with the rights of individual communities over the city. So Medina County residents, don't worry. The San Antonio area is growing fast, yes, but the city won't be able to expand out and annex everything around, as worrying as this little tendril slithering down Highway 90 looks. But these new laws have not stopped annexation entirely. Most annexation in the past decade has been on the city's south side, into the agricultural lands outside of Loop 410. Agreements made in the early 2010s promised that agricultural lands in this area would not be annexed. However, it was in the city's interest to find loopholes that would allow them to annex a plot. Didn't have a current agricultural appraisal for this year? Annexed. Did you sell off a small portion of the land, meaning that the original plot the contract applied to no longer existed? Annexed. Did you allow a fireworks stand on your property, bringing in a little bit of non-agricultural revenue? Annexed. This is why San Antonio's southern boundary is so patchy. Only those plots that were caught up in the loopholes were able to be annexed. There are even some exclaves of the city here, areas of city property that are not contiguous with the main city limit. This land is barely developed and brings in relatively little in property taxes. The hope is that this land could be used for housing developments, all within good, taxable, city-owned land as the city grows. And grow the city will. The population of the San Antonio to Braunfels metro area is projected to grow from 2.6 million in 2022 to 4.2 million by 2060. Though this growth will bring new economic opportunities, figuring out how to manage and deliver resources to the citizens will get more challenging. And this growth won't stay contained within San Antonio's city limits. A major challenge for surrounding areas like Castroville and Hondo will be guiding this development to handle increased traffic from new residents, travelers, and commuters in a way that accommodates new residents while staying functional and livable for old residents. Could the solution be to build up the San Antonio Circuit into the city's third highway ring road to finally surpass 410 and 1604? Probably not. Ring roads are never the answer. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next month on the next chapter of Monday Memories.